So I reacted to this Muslim apologetic named DC Dawah a while ago, and I reacted to this video. And today I want you people to focus on this particular section of this video. Of course, I have refuted his arguments before, but today I want you people to focus on this section of this video. Okay, let's see.
Well, it just so happens that the same history they are appealing to tells us that the gospel authors they are relying on for their eyewitness testimonies are all anonymous. Modern Bible scholars today say the authors are unknown, with no evidence to suggest the accounts within the Gospels are accurate, unadulterated eyewitness accounts. Don't hear it from me, even this Lalu said so.
But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Most scholars are convinced that Matthew, the disciple of Jesus, did not write it. It was only attributed to him later to make it seem more credible.
Now, as someone who watches a lot of Christian apologetic videos, Christians and Muslims alike, I was wondering, did Inspiring Philosophy really say that? Because I have watched him a lot, and I never recalled a time where he actually made that claim by himself. And I never recalled a video where he actually made that claim by himself. So I knew something was off, and well, lo and behold, he was lying. DC Dawah was lying to his audience, Christians and Muslims alike, that Inspiring Philosophy himself made this claim that the authors of the Gospels are anonymous. And he lied to those people about Inspiring Philosophy because, look, this is what he did. So DC Dawah took two clips out of context, out of Inspiring Philosophy's channel, and he merged those two clips together, and he made it appear as if, as if Inspiring Philosophy was making this claim about the authors of the Gospels being anonymous, while in reality, Inspiring Philosophy is stating a claim made by an agnostic Bible scholar called Bart Ehrman. And in his videos, ironically, in that same video, Inspiring Philosophy refutes this argument of the authors of the Gospels being anonymous. He refutes this claim. He basically made a whole video about how the authors of the Gospels can't be anonymous because of all the eyewitness testimonies in church history. But what DC Dawah did is that he took two clips out of two of his videos, one about, the Gospel writers being anonymous, and the second one about Matthew. He clipped those pieces of those two videos out of context, and he merged them together in order to make it appear that if Inspiring Philosophy himself was making this claim, while in reality he was stating a claim of someone else. So what I'm going to do now is that I am going to put a little screen recording in this video for you people to understand what I'm talking about and how did DC Dawah lie to his audience, both Muslims and Christians alike. So here is DC Dawah's channel, 42k subs, 79 videos. So click on this, and this was the video I reacted to a while ago. Allah caused this. Christians may have a point, right? Well, we do. And, well, let's click on this video. I hope I don't get an ad.
Average person.
Okay, let's pause. So, this was the section I was talking about. Hold on. Yeah, this section. I was talking about this section. Wait. Just hold on.
Well, it just so happens that the same history they are appealing to tells us that the gospel authors they are relying on for their eyewitness testimonies are all anonymous. Modern Bible scholars today say the authors are unknown, with no evidence to suggest the accounts within the Gospels are accurate, unadulterated eyewitness accounts.
Pause. Now, first of all, this is not most biblical scholars. This is only the agnostic ones. I like how he changed the heading of the article and deceived us, just like Allah, just like his God, Allah. And well, let's just continue, shall we?
Don't hear it from me, even this Lalu said so.
But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Most scholars are convinced that Matthew, the disciple of Jesus, did not write it. It was only attributed to him later to make it seem more credible.
told you this.
Pause. Now, this was the section I was talking about. So, DC Dawah makes a claim. DC Dawah says that even inspiring philosophy, aka, the Lulu, which he calls him in this video, even he says that the Bible scholars say that the authors of the Gospels were anonymous, and the name of Matthew was added later, something along those lines. Let me play the video again.
Adulterated eyewitness accounts. Don't hear it from me. Even this Lulu said so.
But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Most scholars are convinced that Matthew, the disciple of Jesus, did not write it. It was only attributed to him later to make it seem more credible.
Pause. So, according to DC Dawah, inspiring philosophy makes this claim by himself. The authors of the Gospels, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, are anonymous. Well, let's see if he's telling the truth. And let's see if he didn't deceive his audience into thinking that inspiring philosophy was the one who made that claim. Okay, so this was the video I just watched, okay? And so he merged clips from these two videos, this one. So he merged clips from these two videos, Who Wrote the Gospels by Inspiring Philosophy, and Mathew, an eyewitness account by Inspiring Philosophy. Let's see this video first. Okay, let's pause. So I'm going to play the video, okay? And then you people will easily be able to find out which part did this guy, DC Dawah, clipped out of context, and he pasted it into his own video. Okay, let's start.
You know the four Gospels are attributed to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But many argue the Gospels were originally anonymous, and the names were only added later to give them more authority. But is this accurate? In the first century, were the Gospels entirely anonymous, and only when they were criticized did second century Christians add names to give them more authority? Or are there good reasons to think the Gospels really did come from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John?
Okay, now let's see.
Christian tradition teaches that two of the Gospels were written by disciples of Jesus, Matthew and John. The other two are written by followers of the disciples. Mark was a follower and the interpreter of Peter, and Luke was a traveling companion of Paul. But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Bart Ehrman says, there were some books, such as the Gospels, that had been written anonymously, only later to be ascribed to certain authors.
Pause. Now you see, this is the original video of Inspiring Philosophy, Who Wrote the Gospels, where he refutes this claim that the authors of the Gospels weren't anonymous. This is the original video of Inspiring Philosophy, Who Wrote the Gospels. This one right here. This one right here. And what this guy did is that he took this clip out of context. He took this clip, DC Dawah
says,
he took this clip.
But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Bart Ehrman says,
he took this clip and then he merged it with another one of Inspiring Philosophy's video, and that is this one, the eyewitness of Jesus, Mathew.
Of all four Gospels, the authorship of Matthew is the one that is doubted the most. Most scholars are convinced that Matthew, the disciple of Jesus, did not write it. It was only attributed to him later to make it seem more credible. But early church...
Pause. So you see how this DC Dawah guy, he clipped two parts of these two videos, Eyewitness of Jesus, Mathew, and anonymous authors right here. He clipped these two videos, parts of these two videos, out of context, and then he merged those together in order to make it appear that if Inspiring Philosophy himself made this claim, that the gospel authors were anonymous. Right here.
Accounts within the Gospels are accurate, unadulterated eyewitness
Right here.
accounts. Don't hear it from me. Even this Lalu said so.
But according to the consensus of New Testament historians today, there is no reason to think the Gospels were written by the men they are attributed to. Most scholars are convinced that Matthew, the disciple of Jesus, did not write it. It was only attributed to him later to make it seem more credible.
Pause. So you see how this guy clipped two videos, merged two clips that he took out of context from Inspiring Philosophy's videos, and he merged them together in order to make it appear that if Inspiring Philosophy himself made this claim of the Gospels being written by anonymous people. This is how these dawah guys lie to their audience. So notice how DC Dawah, he basically lied, and he basically deceived his audience into thinking that Inspiring Philosophy was the one to make this claim about the authors of the Gospels being anonymous, while in reality he was stating a claim made by someone else, Bart Ehrman. And Inspiring Philosophy was basically refuting that argument of the Gospels, authors of the Gospels being anonymous. So DC Dawah basically lied, he deceived his audience, Christians and Muslims alike, Muslim brethren and Christians alike, into thinking that, Inspiring Philosophy was the one who was making this claim, while in reality, he wasn't the one who was making this claim, it was someone else, and he was just stating that claim in order to refute it after in the video. So yeah, basically you can't do dawah without lying to people in certain ways. So yeah, just wanted to point it out. Yeah. DC Dawah, stop lying to your audience, Christians and Muslims alike. Stop doing it. Stop making it appear that if someone is making a claim while in reality he's not. Stop deceiving people like Allah, who deceived billions of people into thinking that Jesus was crucified while in reality it was someone else. Okay? Thank you.